Hey yo, what's poppin' everybody? It's your boy Sheet Double G, and Master King's Fall Raid is out. In this video, I'm gonna show you guys everything that is different between the normal mode and the master mode, and talk about the Harrowed weapons that you get as a reward for completing the challenges in the King's Fall master version of the raid. If you guys are having trouble completing the master difficulty or just have a hard time finding a team, make sure you come through my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/CGG, where I'll be doing helps with master King's Fall challenges all week long. All right, so let's get into it. First, let's talk about the Harrowed weapons. Doom of Chelch's Harrowed is the first one that I got, and as far as we can tell from the Harrowed weapons, they have a set roll on the bottom line of perks and then a random roll on the top line of perks. These do not drop with enhanced or anything special like that. Nothing different from Adept weapons from the Vow of the Disciple raid. And like the Vow of the Disciple raid, you can only get these weapons when completing the challenge on master difficulty. I'm assuming they're also on a knockout system just like Vow of the Disciple was, but we can't 100% tell until we get next week's challenge, but it's probably going to be the same exact thing. The thing that is good about these Harrowed weapons is that when you get them unlocked, you can buy them from the final chest at the end of the raid to try to farm red borders from it. As long as you have spoils, you can keep going and going and going until you get a red border to drop, and the red borders that you get from these Harrowed weapons are going to be able to count towards your patterns for the normal versions of the raid weapons. You cannot craft the Harrowed versions of these weapons. If you have any more questions regarding the Harrowed weapons from this raid, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer every single one of them. All right, now let's get into the differences between the normal version and the master version of King's Fall raid. As soon as you get into the entrance, you're going to instantly notice some changes. As you can see, the first wave of ad spawn and the acolytes now have void shields around them. That's going to be a change throughout the entirety of this master King's Fall raid. All taken acolytes now have void shields. What you're going to notice now is that after you start picking up the second set of orbs, you are going to now get an unstoppable phalanx that spawns on each side. Simultaneously, there's going to be an overload that spawns in the middle at the same time. So there'll be one unstoppable on left, one unstoppable on right, and one overload in the middle. As you can see, these guys are pretty beefy. And after this first one, I ended up not even worrying about the unstoppable anymore because the only goal is to get the orb to the middle. So what we did was put two people in the middle to deal with the overload, and then had two people on left and right, one opening doors and stunning the unstoppable so that way the runner can just get through safely without getting booped off. And we didn't even kill the unstoppables anymore. So if you want to have an easier time, you can either take the shortcut that's off the map and avoid them completely, or you can just continuously stun the unstoppable so you won't waste all of your ammo on just trying to kill unstoppables. Remember, you can respawn freely here, so it doesn't matter if you die. So just stun the unstoppable, get the runner through, rinse and repeat. Everything else up into the first encounter is exactly the same. There's no changes in the jumping puzzle, no changes into anything else. Just go straight to the first encounter, which is Totems, and get ready for some fun. So the main thing that changes from the master version of King's Fall raid and Totems is that there are now 3 unstoppable champions that spawn at the exact same time when the unstoppables get triggered. That's right, left, right, and middle will all have an unstoppable champion spawn at the exact same time 3 times for the encounter. I'm pretty sure at 30% of the door's progression is what triggers the new wave of the unstoppables to spawn. So you're definitely going to want to take these down as quickly as possible. This was the loadout that I was rocking during that encounter. Unstoppable pulse rifle, a forbearance from the Vow of the Disciple raid, and Xenophage. I think Xenophage is one of the best weapons for this encounter because it's long range and it hits hard. Forbearance because of the Soul Drinker perk. You gain health based on the number of hits before reloading, because if you pair it with the artifact mod, Bottomless Bounty, it makes that give you even more health. So when I was in that encounter, I was just healing and healing and healing based on the hits that I was getting on my forbearance with chain reaction on it. And then Phoenix Protocol well, I was constantly having my well up every time I had to go to a different plate because we were doing the challenge. And as long as your teammates are making you orbs, which if you're not running a warlock, you should be running a class that can make orbs like a tether or a bubble for protection. You can also use solar hammers as well. With Laurelies, just making sure you don't die, because once you die, the whole rotation gets messed up a lot of the times, and it's hard to save it, especially on Master. So this is what I was using, and I recommend you use it too. As for my aspects and fragments, I was using Touch of Flame, so like my healing nade can get ×2 restoration, and Icarus Dash so I can go between plates faster, along with Ember of Torches so that way I can get Radiant with my melee, Ember of Solstice so that my Radiant and Restoration effects applied have increased duration, Ember of Malevolence so that way when I heal my teammates I can get my grenade back faster, and then Ember of Empyrean, which getting kills with my Xenophage increased the timer of my Restoration and Radiant. I literally could not die with these things on, and I didn't let my teammates die either. Constant wells, constant healing nades, constant survivability. And one final tip, having 1 or 2 people on your team running Aeons in order to finish the knights to create more heavy ammo for you guys is probably the biggest brain play that you can do here. We never were low on heavy. We always had our supers from chaining each other's supers, and we just went through this encounter with no problem. All right, welcome to Warpriest. The major differences in Warpriest is obviously the health. He's a lot more beefier. The orange bar knights that spawn that starts the glyph sequence are now anti-barrier champions. So make sure you throw on anti-barrier. I had anti-barrier sniper with Izanagi's burden, which helped a lot. Also, you're definitely gonna want somebody or 2 people with Aeons on, so that way they can make heavy ammo. You are definitely going to need it with how chunky the Warpriest's health bar is. Rinse and repeat the regular mechanics of the raid until you get the boss health bar down to half. Once it gets down to half, now you're going to have Taken that spawn, and there's changes here. The changes here is that the Taken Knight that spawns will have a solar shield. All the Taken Acolytes will have void shields, and now the Taken Knights that spawn to start the glyph sequence are now Overload Hobgoblins. This was actually really good because now we can finish the Hobgoblins with Aeons and make so much heavy ammo. So what we did was split up 2 teams of 3 at this point, and we just teamed up on these Hobgoblins and left the middle one up, went and got our heavy ammo when we needed it, and then finished the middle one to then start the glyph sequence. Everything else about this encounter is exactly the same from normal. No differences in the glyphs and how they act. No difference in the blight holders or anything like that. Everything else is the same. Just do the mechanic as normal and kill the Warpriest. So next is the Golgoroth maze. There's nothing different about the Golgoroth maze. It's still the same direction, the same plate locations, the same plates to activate the secret chest. The only thing is that now the knights at the end of the tunnel have arc shields. Congrats, now you have made it to Golgoroth. In Golgoroth, there's literally no changes or any differences except for one, which is those knights that spawn and walk out to those 2 bridges on the left and right are now anti-barrier. So you are going to want to put anti-barrier mods on, but after you kill those knights, everything about this fight plays exactly the same. I normally like running Tractor Cannon while I take the gaze to debuff. That way nobody has to sit there and run Divinity while I'm doing the gaze, so I don't do much damage anyway as the gaze holder. But yeah, kill the anti-barriers, start damage, kill them, and you are done with this encounter on Master. Alright, nothing is different about the jumping puzzle or where the secret chest is or anything like that. So there's no more changes until you get to the Sisters encounter. The big change in the Daughters encounter is that the knights that appear on the very first plate of the sequence is going to be an anti-barrier every single time. The strange thing about this encounter is this is the only encounter where the Taken Acolytes are not void shields. So you're not going to have to worry about that, but you are going to have to worry about the Phalanx's arc shields, which has already been a thing since the normal version. Other than that, there's no other changes to this encounter. You just need anti-barrier for the knights that are on the plates, kill them, and just run it normally. These wizards are still very squishy, and you can do the same rocket strat that you were using in the normal version and still one phase them every single time, as long as you're fast enough and have enough time for DPS. Congratulations, you are on the final encounter of the Master Kingsfall raid. This one doesn't have too many changes either, but there are a couple. Instead of the Taken Knight spawning on your plates now, it's now going to be Overload Champions. How we handled this is that we all rotated and started on L1, stunned it, got it really weak, and then finished it to make ammo. Then we went to R1 and then did the same thing, made it weak, finished it. And then we did the same thing with R2, and we all rotated as a team to make sure we can kill them and finish them so we all get heavy ammo. Obviously, you don't have to do it like this, but this is what my team did to make sure that everybody was safe and everybody got ammo. Another change is that the knights that spawn after you kill the ogres now have arc shields, and they also seem to be a little bit more aggro towards the blight, like they just be booking it, but I don't know if it's the same or different. But for sure they have arc shields now. Using an arbalist here is awesome. And then the last change you're going to notice is that the acolytes have void shields, just like in the beginning of the raid. They have them here, and arc shields are on the phalanxes. So having both elements is cool, but using an arbalist is also really good too, especially if you have scavengers and finders for your linear fusion rifles. So after a damage phase, you know how you get either Shade Room or the bombs. If you get bombs, you're going to have overloads on all of your plates instead of knights. And then during Shade Room, nothing is different about Shade Room. You're just going to have all your overloads spawn after you've done killing the Shade of Oryx. Other than that, it's just rinse and repeat over and over and over again until you nuke this guy, kill them, and get your first one true king master King's Fall clear. Spend your spoils, try to get your red borders, and maybe get a touch of malice. I don't know. Remember, if you guys need any help with the master challenge in this King's Fall raid, I'll be live at twitch.tv/CGG doing helps all night or all week. Just come by and say hi. Tell me you came from YouTube and I got your back. If you liked this video or found it helpful, make sure you click that like button at the bottom of the video. And for more helpful Destiny 2 videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. It's been your boy CGG, and I hope y'all have a dope ass day. Deuces.